All right, today we are diving into a really personal, really fascinating piece, a kind of existential reckoning that the author calls a ledger of the soul. It's all about connection, about loss, and what happens when a heart tries to love, well, just about everyone. So let's just start with a central question here, because it's a real mind bender. It kind of flips everything we think about connection on its head. Is it actually possible to love so many people that at the end of the day, you find yourself completely, totally alone? And this quote, this really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? The author's whole idea is that a big capacity for love isn't just a one-way ticket to happiness. It means you're also, by definition, signing up for more heartbreak. The two are they're two sides of the same coin. Okay, so let's get into section 1. This is all about the author's starting point, this core belief he calls the expansion hypothesis. It's the idea that basically drove his entire life. Now, this idea, it wasn't some abstract theory he came up with. It was born from his actual childhood. He grew up in what he calls a crowded cradle, a big, warm, noisy family. For him, love wasn't some scarce resource you had to ration. No, it was just there, like the air you breathe, an ambient condition. So the working theory was really simple and, pretty optimistic. The idea is that the heart isn't like a cup that can get full. Instead, the more people you let in, the bigger it gets to make room. And this simple belief, well, it became the foundation for a lifelong experiment. Which brings us right here to section 2. This is where he really puts that hypothesis to the test. He lives a life that's just dedicated to accumulating relationships, and on a scale that's kind of hard to even imagine. And you can really see how his whole life was structured to gather these connections. It starts in his family, that warm, noisy organism where he learned the basics. Then he works in the service industry, which was the perfect place to just harvest thousands of these little micro connections. And finally, he becomes what he calls a gypsy of belonging, basically mastering the art of forming these really fast, really deep bonds wherever he went. This was more than just being a social butterfly. It was a skill, a craft he perfected. He became a master at collecting people, collecting their stories. He saw every new place as a welcoming committee, just waiting for him. His social universe was always, always expanding. But, and you knew there was a but coming, right? This is where the whole thing takes a turn. That beautiful, simple math of connection starts to show its dark side. Welcome to the arithmetic of absence. So he starts thinking about it, like this internal balance sheet, this ledger of the soul. On one side, you have all these credits of joy, new friends, deep bonds, shared moments. But for every single credit, eventually a debit of grief shows up on the other side. Friendships fade, priorities shift. That original chorus of his family, its voices start going silent. It's just the law of large numbers applied to the human heart. And the heartbreak here, it isn't one big shatter. It's way more insidious than that. He talks about the crushing weight of micro-bereavements. Think of it like a million tiny hairline fractures that build up over a lifetime, leaving the soul fragile and just exhausted. And here's where it gets really, really heavy. He talks about losing his family. They weren't just people he loved. They were the witnesses to his life. They held the shared history that made him who he was. And as they disappear, he's left with this haunting question. If there's no one left to witness your life, are you still really you? Which all leads to this core contradiction, the absolute gut punch of his entire life's experiment. By any possible measure, he is relationally rich. He knows so many people. But in his actual moment-to-moment experience of the world, he is profoundly, deeply alone. So where does this all end up? Section 4 gives us the final sum. This is the conclusion, the stark result drawn from a lifetime of data. I mean, this was the whole point of the experiment, wasn't it? This was the goal, to see if you could rebel against loneliness itself. Could you weave a social safety net so big and so strong that it would actually catch you before you hit that final solitary state of being? And the answer comes in these stark, methodical steps. First, the experiment is over.
Second, the data is in, a lifetime of it.
And finally, the result. The original hypothesis is disproven. A heart's capacity might be huge, but it's no shield against solitude. And this is why it failed. It's just such a powerful, heartbreaking metaphor. That huge network of connections, it exists, but it's mostly through texts and emails and memories. The threads are there, but they aren't arms. The wires can carry a message, but they are not a hand to hold. They can't give you the physical presence that you actually need. And yet, the conclusion isn't just total despair. The experiment might have failed its original mission, but it proved something else. A life that has been just soaked through with affection, even if a lot of it is gone now, it leaves behind this permanent mark, a stain of meaning. And he says, I am that stain. Lonely, yes, but forever indelibly colored by all the love he gave and all the love he received. It's a tragic, but just an achingly beautiful final thought on the math of our own lives.